Ryan Reaves makes a shocking statement, and this Minnesota Wild future star is shocking everyone. We'll break all this down for you coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into it, just want to say we're on the road for 3,000 subscribers, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, join along the journey with us. We'd love to have you. But with that said, let's get right into the first topic video today, which is the Wild have a future star. And as we take a look here, that is Brock Faber. Faber is 21 years old and on pace for 6 goals, 44 assists as a defenseman. He's on pace for 50 points as a defenseman at age 21. And they say here since 1990, the NHL, only 2 rookie defensemen have had 50 or more points in their rookie season. That was Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar. Obviously, everybody knows them. And we see here every defenseman with 10 plus points and 20 plus block shots this month. And we see Cale Makar, Noah Dobson, and Brock Faber on this list as well. And we do see here since last Monday, Faber in 4 games has 7 points, which is first among all defensemen. A +1, 7 block shots, 24-28 time on ice a game, and a 3-1-0 record. It's super early, but this might be a top 20 defenseman in the NHL. And as you take a look at his stats throughout this season, he has 27 points in 46 games so far this season. And Mark, I mean, this is just such a great story here. A Minnesota kid, grew up in Minnesota, played for the University of Minnesota, and now he's becoming a future star for this Minnesota Wild organization.
Yeah, the first thing is honestly talking about Brock. I feel like these do need to go on. But when you look at Brock, just this organization got an absolute stud. It's a homegrown kid. They brought this guy in the Kevin Fiala trade. I know the big thing is everyone loved Kevin Fiala, especially Minnesota fans. Kings fans love him now. He's playing outstanding. But this was almost like a win-win trade when you look at both organizations. They brought in a young defenseman that has been outstanding for this team. We've seen the captain, Jared Spurgeon, go down for the Wild. He seems like he'll be out for quite some time. I believe it's the full season. And since then, Brock has really stepped in. He's taken over the top right handed D role. He's topped in the top unit for the power play as well. This guy's been an absolute stud. I think he's going to be the future of the Minnesota. Obviously, you have guys like Kirill Kaprizov, Irasanek, Rossi, so many guys within this organization. But it seems like they have found and will have their future defenseman, the guy that's going to come in, save the day, and be there for quite some time. As you said, he played for Minnesota. He's grown up in Minnesota, and now he's playing for this team. And I think it's going to be quite awesome just to watch him this year. It's elite company to be with a guy like Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. So I think it's definitely a guy to keep for a watch. And honestly, rookie of the year might be in his works.
Yeah, you never know now with Connor Bedard out with that injury. I mean, that kind of opens the gateway for all these rookies to kind of step up and get this Calder trophy this year. And I just think it's such a great story. I mean, this guy's the future stud defenseman for the Minnesota Wild. And with talks of him already being a top 20 defenseman in his rookie year, the ceiling is so high for this guy. And it's going to be easy for Minnesota to hang on to this guy. He's a Minnesota kid. He wants to play for his hometown team. So it's really great that this guy's breaking out of his shell here, becoming a great defenseman on pace for 50 points, which is great. But he's also a great defensive player as well. I mean, he's blocking shots at a phenomenal rate this season, and it's just great for this Minnesota organization, a team that's kind of been in the mix a little bit over the last couple of years, but can never really get over that hump. So maybe they have a couple of young stars here now that finally get them that push through the playoffs.
Yeah, the big thing is too, they're kind of strapped with the Suter and Parise buyouts. So that's going to take a toll on them for I think it's 2 more years, maybe 3, including this year. But the big thing with this is you bring in this guy, he's looking like he can play top minutes. I mean, he is currently playing top minutes, and he looks like a future captain of this team. So having a guy at this low cap hit that can step in, play those big minutes for you is really going to help along the way of building a team while having to deal with, I think it was the 14 million that they're totally they have right now in buyout costs. So having this guy, bringing him in for such a cheap contract, is going to help the Wild right now. And when he does sign an extension, maybe this is 7 years, 8 years, whatever it might be, they're going to have this guy for the future as well.
Yeah, they're definitely a fun team to watch for the future. Obviously, Kaprizov is going to bring a lot of eyes on to Minnesota, but watch out for Brock Faber. If you're not tuned in to Minnesota, watch out for this guy because he's going to sneak up to be one of the best defensemen in the NHL in my eyes. If he keeps developing the way he is, I mean, it's only his rookie season. The ceiling is so so high for this guy, and I'm really excited that the hometown kid is stepping up for his hometown team. This is just such a great story, and I really hope the best for Brock Faber here. And maybe he snags his Calder trophy. It'd be great to see. But we're going to get into our second topic here, and that is Ryan Reaves speaks out about his injury. And we see here the braces have been a staple long before Ryan Reaves' injury. Talking about the knee braces that he wears, he says, I have very loose knees. I've torn both knees a ton of times. I don't feel comfortable on the ice without them anymore. He says, I've tried taking them off, and my knees are so loose that when I cut to get out of bed the next morning, sometimes they pop out, so keep them on. And he says, I wouldn't even practice without them. And we also see here Toronto's roster lists Reaves on injured reserve, but sitting alone in his stall Friday, the player insists he's healthy and raring to go. He says, I've been ready for a couple of weeks now. Careful not to theorize why he can't get in the lineup. He says, that's a question for them. I'm not in those rooms. I'm in those conversations. I'm not going to speculate anything. Just stay ready. And if I get called upon, I do. If not, I get my work in. And they also go on to say here, this is Sheldon Keefe talking about Ryan Reaves, how he has 2.5 more years in Toronto. He says, just keep working, stay ready. That's a big part of it. He's working his way through an injury as well to really get back to the show. It's hard to figure out when the right time to test him out in the game. With Revo, we have a pretty good sense of who he is and what he can bring to our team. We've just got some questions with these young guys, and this was a flurry of quotes from Ryan Reaves here in this article. He says, I mean, it's not fun. Nobody likes watching hockey when your team's out to battle, and I definitely hate it, but there's nothing really more I can do. I don't know exactly what the situation is or what's going to happen. I guess just stay patient and find out. He talks to his agents. I mean, I've been through this before. I've had highs and lows in my career. I say probably this is one of the tougher ones. It is what it is. It's out of my control, and he also just says he's going to stay patient and whatever's to come to try to get back in this lineup. And as Sheldon Keefe kind of alluded to in this interview, Ryan Reaves is on the first year of his 3-year contract here in Toronto, which with a salary hit of $4 million over these 3 years. And Mark, obviously, we heard a lot here. There's a lot of information here to take in about Ryan Reaves. He's saying he's ready to go, but if the Leafs organization feels maybe he's not too ready, they got some great doctors, they got some great staff here to kind of clear these players. And if they say he's not ready to go, maybe he needs to take a few more weeks.
Yeah, the first thing is it's kind of a three-part when you look at this. The first thing is obviously him wearing the knee braces. This has been a recurrent thing. I don't think Brad Treliving can get any hate for this. I mean, obviously the signing hasn't looked outstanding for this team, but people are going to blame this previous and recent injury on Treliving. But I don't really look at it this way. You've seen him have a successful year last year for the Wild. He had great years in St. Louis, and obviously this knee problem was a constant thing. The team looked into it. I'm sure they did medical. He looked fine throughout the season. It's a classic Ryan Reaves. A big body is going to throw hits, punch, fight, whatever it might be. And then when you kind of look at the statements of him saying he's ready to go, but the Toronto Maple Leafs still have him on injured reserves and not getting him playing time, that's where things get a little tricky. Obviously, the Toronto Maple Leafs don't want the league looking into this of saying, hey, you have a player saying he's ready, he wants to play, why is he still on injured reserves? The Leafs aren't really strapped with cap right now. I know with Samsonov up, it does get a little tricky, but obviously having Reaves there is not going to really run things. I mean, you look at players that have came up. Bobby McMahon has been great on that fourth line. Holmberg, who just got promoted to the top line a few games ago, has looked outstanding. Robertson just drew back into the lineup. There's so many young players making an impact on this roster that it's kind of hard to shake things up. I know the Leafs are in a bit of a spill right now. They're not looking their best. I think Ryan Reaves will get into a game soon. Do I think Ryan Reaves is going to play a lot of games this year? Probably not. Do I think he's going to finish this 3-year deal out on the Leafs? No. When you do kind of look at this, he was on the New York Rangers just 2 seasons ago. He looked great in his first year. Second year, he struggled. He was getting a lot of scratches. He got traded to Minnesota, and he played great on Minnesota. I think the big thing with Reaves is kind of finding where he fits. I do think he will end up getting traded. Maybe this is the thing where you package him for a bit of cap hit, send him back to St. Louis, let him play in his old team, his old barn where he kind of started his career and made a name for himself. Maybe send him to the Winnipeg Jets, his hometown team, or whatever it might be. I think he will be a part of a trade. I don't think the Leafs kind of want to sit a guy making 1.3 for 3 more years, and I don't think Reaves wants to sit either. Obviously, things have not worked out. I think Reeves still has a impact on this roster if they do get him in. If that's maybe tough matchups, maybe the Bruins, whatever it may be, maybe the West Coast trip to the playoffs. I do think he has an impact, but with the emergence of guys like Holmberg, Robertson, and McMahon, I think it's hard to justify taking one of these guys out for Ryan Reaves.
Yeah, you said it perfectly there. I mean, it's a hard situation to kind of judge from our perspective. It's kind of a he said, she said type of deal here. Like, he's saying he's ready, but the Leafs staff and everything saying, he still needs some time to recover. And with some injuries in the past in his career, and just saying that he needs these braces to play, he needs these braces to practice, maybe they're just giving some extra caution here to make sure he's 100% ready to go, because I'm sure the Leafs organization, they know what they're doing. They've had a lot of injuries this season, and guys have came back and have been healthy, and luckily a lot of them haven't gone back down, like re-aggravating the injury this year. So I think they're just proceeding with caution here, and like you said, when he's ready, when the Leafs think he's ready, that he's going to get put back in this lineup. He's going to be a spark throughout this lineup, whether it's with a hit, whether it's with a fight, and you never know what could happen here. He could get traded, like you said, or they could hold on to this guy for the playoff run, because Reaves is a guy that you want in the playoffs. He's a guy who's going to be a pest out there. He's going to get under the skin of your opponents through a 7-game series. So it'll be really interesting to see what Ryan Reaves, what the situation is around Ryan Reaves here in Toronto. But I really do think, when he's ready to go, we will see him back out there in a Leafs uniform. But let us know down below in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think he'll be back in the lineup soon? Do you think he'll be traded? Let us know. We're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, and that is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Martin. He says Holmberg is a good player. That is, unless they trade him as a sweetener for Tanev. Obviously, we talked about Holmberg. He's been a great player. Like Mark said, he was just promoted to that top line, playing with Austin Matthews. And I really do think they hang on to this guy. I really don't think they get rid of this guy at this point. He's a great guy to keep for the future, for next season, where everybody's saying, oh, how about the cap crunch? I mean, Holmberg is a great guy to, headway that third line next year. But let us know down below what you think of that as well. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like we said, we're on the road for 3,000 subscribers, and really appreciate it if you went down, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the NHL, make sure to check out this video we did on the Corey Perry signing yesterday. Make sure to go check that one out. But as always, I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Mark Pye. Keep your stick on the ice.